All right, so today is 10/13, and we're going to be practicing some of the brush strokes that we'll use next time. Not this time, but actually we might use them some today. We're going to do a tree in our sketchbook, but we are only going to use detail painting for this tree. So, we need to practice our detail painting, and I need to practice it too. It's something we all need to practice, but this is going to help you be able to paint trees that are far away or that are delicate in any painting that you do. So I'm not wetting my paper at all, and I'm just getting a little bit of brown, or I could even use some of the burnt umber that we talked about yesterday that I might have put in your palette. Either one is fine. And I don't have a lot of water, but what controls the thinness or thickness of my brush stroke? How hard I push it and how much water is on it. So I am not pushing my brush hard at all, and I'm just going to make as smooth and as straight as a line as I can straight up. Now, instead of making a rectangle for the trunk of this detailed tree, I'm going to come close and make more of like a thicker line next to it. See that? So I didn't really I kind of use that detail brush stroke, and I'm going to use it to put some texture in here. Now I'm going to do what I call Ying out, which I've mentioned before. And Ying out just means that I'm going to kind of turn my tree up towards the top into a Y, because usually the trunk kind of splits into some bigger branches. It doesn't end in a big flat stump like this, so I'm going to try and make it end in a thin point and then make some other branches Y out from that. Now remember, I have to add a little bit of bulk to these branches, but not much. So when I start, I'm just going to try to focus on just a hair of the brush and then add a little pressure as I get down towards the bottom. Now, here's the really fun part. After I get some of my bigger branches on, I'm going to add some itty teeny bitty baby branches. Yes. And I'm going to just take my brush, and I'm going to just like barely, I'm just going to kind of twist it almost and just dangle it over the paper and kind of make just some little dancing lines. You can see I just kind of have it in between my two fingers, and I'm just kind of shaking my hand a little bit, just letting that brush like dance on top of the paper. So that makes a lot of these neat little bitty branches, and they're really light because I'm not adding any color. So if I zoom in on this, you guys can see I've got some really light baby branches on there, and I can maybe add a few more here, but by kind of giving up control over where I want those branches to go and just, I like to say brush dancing, just kind of twirling with my fingers and letting it kind of dance. It kind of makes these fun little branches that I didn't really plan, but they just kind of happen. So there's a detailed tree. Now I'm going to do a detailed bush on the ground here. Same kind of thing. I'm going to think of it as like an alder bush that just comes out of the ground, and there's lots of little lines. And these, they're going to be mostly thin lines. And if I have too much paint, I'm just going to do that thing where I pull that water out and get lots of those little... Thank you for listening. You guys are so patient. And then keep in mind, you can always, with just a little bit of water and paint, pull out a shadow too from the base of these, thinking of where your sun's coming from. And I like to use a little bit of violet in my shadows recently. It's been kind of fun. Now, on top of those trees, just for fun, we can use our big brush. And I left mine over here, so we'll grab it really quick. of our bush here. So stippling with the big brush just looks like getting drier color on my brush and dabbing it on. And you might, this is just kind of something fun you guys can do to finish up your picture. Okay, so your assignment is, yeah, yum, apple trees. So your assignment is a detail tree. And a shrub. And maybe a shadow. Okay. Any questions?